morning, and today we're here with the Future Successors podcast, where the future is now. My name is Madison Zovish, and today I'm here with
Maya Ford, and today we have the pleasure of being here with Tom Kimmel, the exec of the Sage Foundation. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you for being here with us.
Yes, thank you.
I am so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. No problem. Okay, so do you want to kind of touch on a little what is the Sage Foundation?
Sure. Well, Sage Foundation is an arm of Sage, the corporation Sage. And Sage is a multinational, multi-billion-dollar company that provides accounting, payroll, financial software in markets all around the world. One of the things that Sage does, which I think is really amazing, is Sage has a Sage Foundation program where they actually encourage employees, in fact, just about needle us every day to remind us that we have 5 days paid for by Sage to go out and work in the community and do foundation events. And so to help us organize that, Sage Foundation helps us come up with events. Last year I had the opportunity to be a part of Sage Foundation Grow, which was a program that aligned here in Atlanta with certain nonprofit companies. And we brought our expertise in software and financials, etc., and connected with these nonprofit leaders to help them understand how they could grow their business.
Okay, so we've been told that you made an investment in us, an investment in Miss Nikki, who helps us every day. So what about, because we know why Future Successor is important to us, but what about what Miss Nikki brought to the table, which was so unique that she got selected?
Sure. Well, Future Successors was one of 5 nonprofits that we worked with. I didn't get the opportunity every time to work with Nikki. My nonprofit actually was Helping Empower Youth, which is a similar nonprofit here in Atlanta. But what I will say is, every time we got together and watched how the nonprofits worked with each other, how they shared best practices, and what I was more amazed with Nikki and all of them was the passion that they brought every single day to helping youth, to making youth's lives better, and to, really making a difference in their community. And having not directly worked with nonprofits before, I would say that was far and away the most eye-opening thing for me, was just the passion, the energy, the smarts that they put into that, and how many of these nonprofits were doing amazing things with relatively small staffs and small budgets.
Thank you. Okay, so what would you say is your definition of success?
I think my definition of success is bringing your personal best to something every single day. Sometimes we can't control what's around us. We can't control the environment. If we could, what you would find is Major League Baseball teams would be 162-0 every single year, right? Because they would control things. But, what they do is they control the things they control, and they bring their personal best every single day. And I think if you do that, you will be successful.
That's amazing.
So what's one of the main, because you said you came from working with things that weren't nonprofit to working with nonprofit, what's one of the overlapping things that you can say throughout just your background and things that you just noticed?
Sure. Well, the problems of a nonprofit are a little different sometimes than the problems of a big for-profit corporation. Because if you think about a for-profit corporation, it's all about the shareholder, right? And making sure the shareholder return is there, making sure that, your customers, that, you're bringing your best for your customers, you're bringing the best product, the best, service. When you're in a nonprofit, sometimes it can get a little lost, right? You have to be really focused on who are you trying to serve, what your core audience is, and having some really unique and inventive ways to do that. Because again, as a nonprofit, you don't have the ability to call headquarters and say, I need an investment of $100,000 for this project, right? I need to be able to do something unique for my customers. Nonprofits, they have to, I think the way I would describe it is, if you think about like a battleship, right? If you were asked to build a battleship, sail it, fight a war, and win all at the same time, that's the challenge of a nonprofit.
That's a lot.
It really is. What would be my next question? Okay, so what would you say is the difference between achievement and success?
Achievement and success. Well, clearly achievement speaks to moving up a level, right? You've achieved something, you've achieved a level of something, and now you're moving on to the next level. You know, so I do think achievement is important, but at the same time, we can have success without necessarily moving up to the next level, right? So, you know, think about in school. There are people that work hard and achieve a grade of C. There are people that work hard and achieve a grade of B or achieve a grade of A. Would you say the person that didn't achieve the A wasn't successful? No, they were probably very successful.
Degrees, okay?
Do
I
what?
said C's get you degrees.
C's get you degrees. I've heard that before, right? But at the end of the day, those people were certainly successful in their own right. And again, did they bring their personal best every day?
You never know. So, I saw that you went to Georgia Tech. So can you give us a little bit of information on your degree that you got from there?
Well, I went to Georgia Tech. My course of study was computer science. And I got there because I was very fortunate. You can probably tell from the gray in my beard. I've been around a year or two. And back at the time I was in high school, there were no such things as personal computers. So learning about computers, I was very fortunate because one of our teachers had a connection with Georgia Tech. And he brought an old terminal in. This thing was enormous and slow, and it connected via a phone to Georgia Tech's mainframe, and I got the opportunity to learn programming. I programmed in BASIC. And so actually that kind of whetted my appetite for thinking that I wanted to do something in the world of computers. The difference was when I got to Georgia Tech, while I was successful in learning about computers and learning about programming, I realized fairly early on that my success in life was probably not going to come from computers, but it was going to come from people. So very quickly, I transitioned and went into a career where I became a field service technician for a hardware company. And 2 years into that job, I won't tell you how many years ago that was, but 2 years into that job, I was asked to be the manager of the local branch. And since that day, I have managed people, managed organizations, managed functions. And so I would say that my time at Tech was important, but my time at Tech really wasn't what led me to what has made me successful today.
What relationships do you think have helped you along the way?
Wow. I would say a few things. One is your college relationships will be super important. I know you two ladies are heading out to college.
Yes, sir.
You know, it's funny in the world of Facebook and whatnot, and for you, I guess it's what, Instagram,
Yeah.
TikTok, you know, Facebook makes me sound like an old guy. But in the world of Facebook, you could connect with people from your past. Well, you know, while I am Facebook friends with some people from high school, that really wasn't people that were my main connections. And I think the reason is because when you're in high school, you're thrown together with certain people and you have no choice.
Yeah.
You're in this homeroom, you're in this class, right? But when you're in college, the people that you will spend time with will be the people you choose to spend time with, right? And they'll be the people that you'll want to get to know, that you find interesting, that you find challenging. In some cases, you find have your values. In some cases, have values that aren't quite like yours, but you want to explore, you want to understand, right? So I think that for me, those relationships I formed in college were the beginning of some lifelong friendships, folks that I talk to literally probably every month or two. I talk to somebody from my college days. I think the other thing is community. You know, when you find yourself at some point, you've graduated, you've gotten into a job, you've landed in a community, start to explore those relationships in your community. And whether that's your neighbor, whether that's a church, whether that's friends of friends, that'll be important. I think the last thing I would tell you is mentors. Find yourself in your career, find yourself mentors that you really can look up to and respect. I would say that a large portion of what I know today as a leader of people, some of that came through the school of hard knocks, right? Doing things, making mistakes, realizing that wasn't the way to have handled that. But a lot of it came through time I spent with mentors, people that invested in me, saw something in me. And so literally for the last 20 years, my whole goal in my business career has been to find people that I could mentor, people that I could invest and spend time with, because, old folks like me at some point, we're going to move on. We're going to retire, and we need to make sure we're investing in that next generation of leaders.
That's important. I really like that. I just said shout out to my mentor. She's the best.
Shout out to Miss Nikki. Listen, I even mentioned Future Successors. Like, Future Successors kind of got me into college. I mentioned them in my essays and everything. Like,
But isn't that really super important, right?
Yeah, it is.
Because it's not to say you wouldn't have gone to college, maybe not, without that. But the fact that someone saw something in you, invested in you, I mean, that makes us feel great as human beings.
Yeah, that's great. Do you want to ask like a cool down question?
Yeah, we could do that.
All right, so we've kind of been debating this all day. So would you rather freeze time or learn how to fly?
That's a hard one, As you get to the end of your career, you think, I'd like to freeze time. But I think learning how to fly would be pretty cool, right? Because if you live in Atlanta, traffic is a bear.
Yes.
Right? So I happen to live near Athens, Georgia. So, which is really hard because you mentioned that I went to Georgia Tech. So for me to live in Athens, where the university is, talk about a stranger in a strange land.
How would you do that? Come on now.
Well, it's funny. It's a family thing. My sister and her husband moved into Athens. And when we got ready to sell our home that our kids grew up in, we were trying to figure out where we were going to go. And my sister's like, you have to come to Athens. So now, today, I have 4 brothers and sisters, and all of us live within 5 miles of each other.
That's special.
Because my sister was like, she's a little bit like the Pied Piper. Everybody come to Athens. But back to your question, definitely learn to fly, because getting over Atlanta traffic would certainly make me happy.
I think it would make us all happy. But well, we enjoyed spending time with you today and chatting with you. Let's give you another round of applause.